Courage is one of the most profound and essential traits that define human character. At its core, it is the inner strength that enables us to confront fear, adversity, or uncertainty with resolve and determination. It is not the absence of fear, rather, it is the ability to act in spite of it. Courage transforms hesitation into action, vulnerability into strength, and uncertainty into opportunity. It is the quiet yet powerful force that propels us forward, even when the path ahead seems daunting or unclear. Inner strength is what allows people to face challenges and endure hardships without giving up. It is the foundation upon which courage is built. Life is full of moments that test our resolve, moments when doubt, fear, or pain threaten to overwhelm us. In such times, inner strength becomes the anchor that keeps us steady. It reminds us that we are capable of enduring more than we think, and that every challenge carries within it the potential for growth. Courage, then, is the outward expression of this inner strength, the visible manifestation of an unshakable belief in our ability to persevere. Courage is not reserved for grand or heroic acts. It can be seen in the small, everyday decisions that require us to step outside our comfort zones. It is the student who speaks up in class, despite fear of being judged. It is the single parent who works tirelessly to provide for their children, finding the strength to face each day with hope and determination. It is the individual who, despite failing multiple times, decides to try one more time. These acts may not seem remarkable to the world, but they are profound demonstrations of courage because they stem from a deep well of inner strength. The relationship between courage and fear is often misunderstood. Many believe that courage means being fearless, but this is far from the truth. Fear is a natural human response to uncertainty or danger. It signals the presence of risk and the possibility of failure. Courage does not erase fear, it acknowledges it and chooses to act anyway. This ability to confront fear rather than run from it is what sets courageous individuals apart. It is in this confrontation that inner strength plays a crucial role, providing the mental and emotional resilience needed to push through fear. Inner strength also enables us to face adversity with grace and resilience. Life is unpredictable, and challenges often arise when we least expect them. Whether it is the loss of a loved one, the end of a relationship, or a professional setback, these moments test our ability to endure and adapt. Courage allows us to see these hardships not as insurmountable obstacles, but as opportunities for growth. It encourages us to dig deep within ourselves, to find the strength to move forward, and to trust that we are capable of overcoming even the most difficult circumstances. Moreover, courage rooted in inner strength is often a deeply personal experience. It requires us to confront not only external challenges, but also the fears and doubts that reside within us. It asks us to be honest with ourselves, to recognize our vulnerabilities, and to embrace the uncertainty of life. This process of self-reflection and acceptance can be uncomfortable, but it is essential for personal growth. Inner strength gives us the courage to face our own imperfections, to learn from our mistakes, and to strive for a better version of ourselves. Courage is also contagious. When we act with courage, we inspire others to do the same. A single act of bravery can ripple outward, encouraging those around us to find their own inner strength and face their challenges. This is perhaps one of the most beautiful aspects of courage. It not only transforms individuals, but also strengthens communities and uplifts humanity as a whole. In the end, courage as inner strength is about believing in the power of perseverance and the potential for transformation. It is about facing life's challenges with an open heart and an unwavering spirit. It reminds us that, no matter how difficult the journey, we have the strength within us to endure, to grow, and to thrive. Courage is often associated with grand gestures and heroic deeds, but it is just as present in the small, everyday actions that people take to confront challenges, navigate uncertainty, and stay true to their values. These acts, though seemingly ordinary, require a quiet bravery that is deeply personal and transformative. Everyday courage is woven into the fabric of life, found in moments that test our resolve, challenge our assumptions, and push us beyond our comfort zones. Everyday acts of courage begin with a willingness to face fear or discomfort. It might be the student who raises their hand in class despite fearing they might get the answer wrong. This simple act requires vulnerability and a willingness to expose oneself to potential criticism. It is a small yet powerful demonstration of courage because it involves overcoming self-doubt and choosing growth over comfort. Similarly, it takes courage for someone to express their ideas in a meeting, particularly when they fear rejection or disagreement. These moments, while common, embody the essence of courage acting in the face of uncertainty. Another form of everyday courage is standing up for what is right, even when it is not the easiest or most popular choice. This could be defending a colleague who is being unfairly criticized or intervening when witnessing an act of injustice. These actions often require individuals to risk their own reputation or comfort for the sake of integrity. They may not make headlines, but they contribute significantly to fostering fairness and kindness in the world. Standing up against bullying, whether in a school, workplace, or online setting, is a prime example of how everyday courage can make a tangible difference in someone's life. Everyday courage is also found in the decisions people make to improve themselves or their circumstances. It takes courage to pursue a dream, especially when the odds are uncertain or when others doubt one's abilities. Starting a new career, going back to school, or learning a new skill all require individuals to confront the fear of failure and the discomfort of stepping into the unknown. These acts of courage are transformative not only because of the goals achieved, but also because of the personal growth that occurs along the way. Relationships, too, are a space where everyday courage is essential. It takes courage to apologize sincerely, to forgive someone who has hurt you, or to have difficult conversations that may cause discomfort but are necessary for growth and understanding. Vulnerability in relationships is an act of courage because it involves the risk of being hurt or misunderstood. However, it is through this vulnerability that trust and deeper connections are built. Parenting is another realm where everyday courage shines. Parents often face the challenge of making decisions that will shape their children's future, even when they are unsure of the outcomes. They advocate for their children, provide emotional support during tough times, and make sacrifices for their well-being. These acts may go unnoticed, but they require immense bravery and selflessness. In a broader sense, everyday courage is about showing up for life, no matter the circumstances. It is about persevering through struggles, whether they are related to health, finances, or relationships. For someone battling an illness, getting out of bed each morning can be an act of courage. For someone experiencing anxiety, attending a social gathering or stepping into a crowded room might take immense bravery. These actions may seem small to others, but for the individuals involved, they represent significant victories over fear and adversity. Everyday courage also involves the choice to remain hopeful and optimistic in the face of challenges. It takes courage to look beyond current difficulties and believe in the possibility of better days. This courage to hope is what fuels resilience and keeps people moving forward, even when the path ahead is unclear. Ultimately, everyday acts of courage are the threads that weave strength and resilience into the fabric of life. They remind us that courage is not defined by the scale of the action, but by the heart behind it. By embracing these small moments of bravery, individuals not only transform their own lives, but also inspire those around them to do the same. Everyday courage is a quiet, yet powerful force that makes the world a better place, one act at a time. Courage and vulnerability are often thought of as opposing forces. Courage is associated with strength, resilience, and boldness, while vulnerability is often seen as weakness or fragility. However, a closer look reveals that vulnerability is not only compatible with courage, but is in fact its foundation. True courage is not about being fearless or invincible, it is about embracing uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure with honesty and authenticity. In this way, vulnerability becomes the doorway to courage, allowing us to confront life's challenges with an open heart and an unyielding spirit. Vulnerability is the willingness to show up and be seen even when there are no guarantees of success or safety. It requires us to let go of the desire to control outcomes and to face the possibility of failure, rejection, or criticism. This is where courage comes into play. It takes immense bravery to admit that we do not have all the answers, to expose our weaknesses, or to share our fears and insecurities. And yet, it is through these moments of vulnerability that we connect most deeply with ourselves and others. Courage and vulnerability often go hand in hand in our relationships. It takes courage to be open and honest with those we care about, to express our feelings, and to let others see us for who we truly are. Vulnerability allows us to take down the walls we build to protect ourselves and to invite others into our world. This openness fosters trust and intimacy, strengthening the bonds that connect us. However, it also comes with risks, the risk of being hurt, misunderstood, or rejected. The willingness to face these risks is a profound act of courage. In professional and creative endeavors, vulnerability is equally important. Sharing a new idea, presenting a piece of art, or taking on a leadership role all require stepping into the unknown and risking failure or criticism. Yet these acts of courage are what drive innovation and growth. By embracing vulnerability, we allow ourselves to take creative risks, learn from our mistakes, and explore new possibilities. It is through this process that we grow, both personally and professionally. Vulnerability also plays a critical role in overcoming fear and adversity. Fear often arises from the unknown, from the possibility of pain or failure. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we confront these fears head-on. This might mean admitting that we are struggling, asking for help, or acknowledging that we are afraid. These actions require immense courage because they force us to let go of the facade of invincibility and to embrace our humanity. One of the most transformative aspects of courage and vulnerability is the way they foster resilience. Life is full of challenges and no one is immune to setbacks and hardships. When we face these difficulties with vulnerability, we allow ourselves to feel and process our emotions fully. This honesty with ourselves strengthens our ability to cope and recover. Courage enables us to keep moving forward, even when the path is uncertain or difficult. Vulnerability also opens the door to self-discovery and authenticity. It is through the courageous act of being vulnerable that we learn more about who we are and what we value. When we let go of the fear of judgment, we can live more authentically, aligning our actions with our beliefs and aspirations. This authenticity not only enhances our own sense of fulfillment, but also inspires those around us to do the same. The interplay between courage and vulnerability is perhaps most evident in the pursuit of dreams and goals. Following a dream often requires us to step outside our comfort zones and face the possibility of failure. It means risking the disappointment of unmet expectations or the sting of criticism. Yet, without this vulnerability, the dream remains just that, a dream. Courage transforms it into action, propelling us forward despite the uncertainties. One of the most celebrated figures of courage is Martin Luther King Jr., whose leadership in the civil rights movement exemplified extraordinary bravery and determination. Despite facing threats, arrests, and violence, King remained steadfast in his commitment to nonviolence and justice. His famous "I Have a Dream" speech, delivered during the March on Washington in 1963, was a rallying cry for equality and human dignity. King's courage was not only in his public actions, but also in his deep moral conviction and refusal to succumb to hatred or fear. He demonstrated that true courage lies in standing firm for what is right, even when it comes at great personal cost. Another beacon of courage is Malala Yousafzai, who became a global symbol for the right to education. At just 15 years old, Malala survived an assassination attempt by the Taliban, who sought to silence her advocacy for girls' education in Pakistan. Instead of retreating in fear, Malala used her experience to amplify her voice and fight even harder for the cause she believed in. She became the youngest ever Nobel Peace Prize laureate, proving that courage is not bound by age or circumstance. Malala's story inspires countless individuals to speak out for what they believe in, regardless of the risks involved. Rosa Parks is another historical figure whose simple yet profound act of courage sparked a movement. In 1955, she refused to give up her seat to a white passenger on a segregated bus in Montgomery, Alabama. This act of defiance led to the Montgomery bus boycott, a pivotal event in the civil rights movement. Parks' quiet bravery showed that even a single act of resistance could ignite change, and that courage does not always require grand gestures. It can begin with a resolute no to injustice. Similarly, Mahatma Gandhi demonstrated that courage could take the form of nonviolent resistance. Leading India's struggle for independence from British rule, Gandhi advocated for peaceful protests and civil disobedience. His philosophy of nonviolence required immense courage, as it demanded restraint and strength in the face of violence and oppression. Gandhi's leadership not only liberated a nation, but also inspired movements for justice and freedom around the world. His life reminds us that courage is not about physical might, but about the strength of spirit and conviction. During World War II, Winston Churchill displayed extraordinary courage as he led Britain through one of its darkest hours. As Prime Minister, Churchill inspired his nation with his unwavering determination and stirring speeches, such as his declaration, "We shall never surrender." Despite facing seemingly insurmountable odds, he remained a symbol of resilience and hope. Churchill's leadership underscores that courage often involves inspiring others to persevere and believe in the possibility of victory, even in the face of great uncertainty. Harriet Tubman's life is another powerful example of courage in action. Born into slavery, Tubman escaped to freedom but risked her life repeatedly to help others escape via the Underground Railroad. She led countless enslaved individuals to freedom, often under the threat of capture and death. Tubman's courage was rooted in her unwavering faith and her deep commitment to justice. Her story illustrates that courage is not only about personal liberation, but also about empowering others and fighting for collective freedom. The common thread among these figures is their willingness to confront fear, injustice, and adversity head-on. They did not possess superhuman powers or immunity to doubt and fear. Rather, their courage stemmed from a deep sense of purpose and an unshakable belief in the causes they championed. Their actions remind us that courage is not the absence of fear, but the determination to act in spite of it. These historical figures also demonstrate that courage is contagious. Their bravery-inspired movements galvanized nations and instilled hope in those who followed. Whether through speeches, protests, or acts of resistance, their courage lit a fire in others, creating ripples of change that continue to impact the world. Inspiration from historical figures serves as a reminder that courage is accessible to all of us. It challenges us to examine our own lives and consider how we can embody bravery in our actions, however small or significant. By learning from their examples, we find the strength to confront our own fears and contribute to the betterment of humanity. Their legacies endure as a testament to the transformative power of courage and its ability to shape the course of history. Personal acts of courage are often the most profound and transformative, as they reflect an individual's ability to confront their own fears, vulnerabilities, and limitations. These acts may not make headlines or earn widespread recognition, but they hold immense significance in shaping one's life and the lives of those around them. Personal courage is rooted in the ability to face challenges head-on, whether they are internal battles with self-doubt or external struggles with difficult circumstances. It is in these everyday moments that true bravery emerges, often quietly and without fanfare. One of the most personal acts of courage is the ability to confront one's fears. Fear can take many forms: fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown, and it has the power to paralyze us, preventing us from pursuing our dreams or making important changes in our lives. Overcoming fear is not an instant process. It requires time, effort, and often a series of small, courageous steps. For example, a person who has struggled with anxiety might make the courageous decision to attend a social gathering, despite the fear of being overwhelmed. This act of facing one's anxiety is not only a triumph over fear, but also a step toward greater self-confidence and personal growth. It is an act of courage that often goes unnoticed, but represents a powerful victory for the individual. Similarly, personal acts of courage can be seen in the decision to embrace vulnerability. Vulnerability is often seen as a weakness, but in reality, it is a profound strength that requires bravery. To be vulnerable is to open oneself up to the possibility of rejection, hurt, or failure. However, it is also through vulnerability that deeper connections are made and authentic growth occurs. A person who admits their struggles, shares their emotions, or asks for help demonstrates incredible courage. It takes strength to let go of the need for perfection and to be real with oneself and others. By allowing vulnerability, individuals often experience emotional healing and build more meaningful relationships both with others and with themselves. Another significant act of personal courage is the ability to forgive. Forgiveness can be one of the most difficult challenges we face, especially when we have been deeply hurt by others. The decision to forgive is not about excusing the wrongs done to us, but about choosing to release the burden of anger and resentment. It takes courage to let go of the pain and to move forward, even when the wounds run deep. Forgiving someone, whether it be a family member, a friend, or even oneself, is an act of profound strength. It requires facing the emotional pain, confronting the past, and choosing to heal instead of holding on to the hurt. Forgiveness is a courageous act of self-liberation, allowing individuals to free themselves from the grip of negative emotions and to reclaim their peace of mind. Personal acts of courage are also evident in the pursuit of goals and dreams. It takes courage to step outside one's comfort zone, especially when faced with uncertainty or the potential for failure. Whether it's changing careers, going back to school, or starting a new venture, these decisions require an individual to take a leap of faith in themselves. The journey is often filled with self-doubt, obstacles, and setbacks, but the courage to keep going, even when the outcome is uncertain, is what leads to success and personal fulfillment. Each step forward, no matter how small, is an act of courage that propels an individual toward their dreams. Moreover, personal acts of courage are seen in the decisions to change unhealthy behaviors or habits. Whether it's overcoming addiction, taking control of one's health, or breaking free from toxic relationships, these acts require immense inner strength. The process of change is often long and challenging, requiring individuals to confront uncomfortable truths about themselves and make difficult choices. Choosing to prioritize one's well-being, whether physical, emotional, or mental, is a courageous act because it requires self-awareness, perseverance, and a willingness to face discomfort for the sake of growth. Another personal act of courage involves standing up for oneself and setting boundaries. Many people struggle with asserting their needs, particularly in situations where they fear confrontation or rejection. Whether it's saying no to a request that doesn't align with one's values or asking for respect in a relationship, asserting boundaries is an act of courage. It requires self-respect and the willingness to protect one's well-being, even if it means disappointing others or facing conflict. Setting boundaries is an essential act of self-care and demonstrates a commitment to one's own worth. Ultimately, personal acts of courage are about the choices we make in our everyday lives. They involve the willingness to face our fears, confront our vulnerabilities, and make decisions that align with our values and aspirations. These acts may not always be dramatic, but they are deeply meaningful as they shape who we are and how we navigate the world. Each personal act of courage strengthens our character, deepens our resilience, and inspires those around us. It is through these quiet yet powerful moments of bravery that we truly transform, both for ourselves and for others. Courage is not just about overcoming fear in the face of challenges, it is also about growth, personal, emotional, and intellectual. Every courageous act, whether big or small, leads to a form of transformation. The process of stepping outside our comfort zones, confronting fears, and taking risks allows us to learn more about ourselves and the world around us. When we choose to act in the face of uncertainty, we open ourselves up to new opportunities for growth and self-discovery. The connection between courage and growth is evident in how individuals navigate their personal journeys. Every time we face a challenge head-on, we are forced to learn new skills, adjust our mindset, and develop resilience. The very act of being courageous pushes us beyond our perceived limitations, helping us realize that we are capable of much more than we initially believed. For example, someone who decides to speak publicly, despite their fear of speaking in front of an audience, doesn't just overcome that fear, they also grow in confidence, communication skills, and emotional resilience. Over time, this personal growth builds a foundation for further acts of courage, as each experience helps to reinforce the belief that we can handle more than we think. Courage also fosters growth by encouraging us to take risks. Risk-taking is inherently tied to growth because it challenges the status quo and forces us to confront the unknown. Whether it is pursuing a new career path, starting a business, or moving to a new city, these actions require courage because they involve uncertainty and potential failure. However, it is through taking these risks that we learn, adapt, and ultimately grow. When we take risks, we are often pushed to expand our abilities, think creatively, and problem solve in ways we wouldn't have otherwise. Even when things don't go as planned, the experience itself is a lesson in perseverance and adaptability, which leads to greater personal growth. Another way courage leads to growth is by encouraging individuals to embrace change. Change can be one of the most daunting aspects of life, as it forces us to let go of the familiar and step into the unknown. Whether it's a change in our personal life, such as a relationship or lifestyle shift, or a change in our professional life, the uncertainty that accompanies change often invokes fear. Yet, it is only by facing that fear and embracing change that we evolve. Courage allows us to adapt to new circumstances, let go of old patterns that no longer serve us, and reimagine our future. As we face these challenges, we become more flexible, more resourceful, and more prepared to handle whatever comes our way. Growth through courage also manifests in the lessons learned from failure. Often failure is seen as the antithesis of success, but in reality, failure is an integral part of growth. When we take courageous steps and things don't go as planned, it is easy to become discouraged or to view the experience as a setback. However, failure is often the most powerful catalyst for growth. Every failure carries with it valuable lessons, teaching us what doesn't work, what needs improvement, and how we can approach things differently next time. Courage in the face of failure is about embracing the process of learning, understanding that every misstep is an opportunity to refine our skills, build resilience, and grow stronger. Moreover, courage leads to growth in the realm of emotional development. By facing emotional challenges with bravery, whether it's confronting past traumas, having difficult conversations, or acknowledging our own shortcomings, we are able to grow emotionally and build healthier, more authentic relationships with others. Emotional courage allows us to be vulnerable, to express our feelings openly, and to face discomfort without turning away from it. This process of emotional honesty is essential for personal growth because it enables us to heal, develop empathy, and deepen our connections with others. Courage also plays a crucial role in expanding our perspective. It takes courage to question our beliefs, to challenge the status quo, and to step outside our echo chambers. As we engage with different viewpoints, confront our biases, and explore new ideas, we grow intellectually. The courage to engage with the unfamiliar broadens our horizons, enriching our understanding of the world and of ourselves. This intellectual growth is essential for personal development, as it helps us become more open-minded, compassionate, and adaptable in an increasingly complex and interconnected world. Ultimately, courage leads to growth by empowering us to face the obstacles and challenges that inevitably arise in life. It is through these acts of bravery, whether they involve taking risks, confronting fears, embracing change, learning from failure, or deepening emotional connections, that we evolve into stronger, more capable individuals. Each courageous act, no matter how small, builds upon the last, creating a cumulative effect that leads to a life of continual growth and transformation. The more courage we cultivate, the more growth we experience, and the more we unlock our full potential, ultimately living a life that is richer, fuller, and more meaningful.